Title: A Photograph That Changed Everything. Claire Bennett had always believed that her small coastal hometown, Harborville, would be the only chapter in her life's story. Nestled between rolling green hills and the vast expanse of the sea, the town was a picture of tranquility. Life moved at its own unhurried pace, where each day seemed to mirror the last. Claire loved Harborville for its familiarity, its comforting rhythm. She had spent her entire life there, running Seabreeze Bistro, a cafe she had built from scratch. The cafe was more than just a business to her. It was her sanctuary, a place where she poured her heart into every detail. Every morning, Claire would open its wooden shutters, welcoming the soft glow of dawn. The air would fill with the scent of freshly brewed coffee and warm pastries, mingling with the salty breeze from the ocean. Locals and tourists alike gathered at her cafe, finding solace in its cozy ambiance, where laughter and shared stories danced between the walls. Despite the joy her cafe brought her, Claire carried a sadness she rarely spoke about. Decades ago, when she was only 8 years old, her older brother Liam had disappeared. The two had been inseparable, their bond forged through countless childhood adventures. But one stormy night, Liam had gone out to the lighthouse on the edge of town, and he never returned. The official report said he had likely drowned, swept away by the fierce waves, but no one had ever found his body. For years, the lighthouse had been a painful reminder of what she had lost. She avoided looking at it, though it stood tall against the horizon, its light sweeping across the waters like a silent sentinel. Her parents had tried to move on, but the weight of Liam's absence lingered, casting a shadow over their lives. One spring morning, as Claire prepared the cafe for the day, she noticed something new next door. A bookstore had opened. It was an unusual addition to Harborville, where souvenir shops and seafood shacks dominated the small-town streets. The sign read Harbor Tales, and its large windows revealed shelves brimming with books. Later that day, her curiosity got the better of her. She decided to introduce herself to the new owners, bringing along a plate of her signature blueberry pie. Stepping inside, Claire was greeted by the smell of aged paper and polished wood. The store's cozy ambiance drew her in, with its reading nook adorned with fairy lights and cushions that invited visitors to linger. Behind the counter stood Ella and James Peterson, a cheerful couple who had recently moved to Harborville. They explained that they had traveled the world, collecting books from every corner, and hoped their little bookstore would bring the magic of stories to the town. Over the following months, Claire and the Petersons grew close. They bonded over their shared love for stories. Claire through the connections she fostered at her cafe, and the Petersons through the books they brought to life. Their conversations often drifted to their experiences. Claire spoke about her life in Harborville, while Ella and James recounted tales of their travels to distant lands. One evening, during a dinner at the Petersons' home, James brought out a photo album. "These are from our trip to Alaska," he said, flipping through the pages. The photographs were breathtaking, glaciers shimmering under the sun, forests that seemed untouched by time, and rivers winding through rugged landscapes. Claire admired the beauty of each image until one particular photo stopped her in her tracks. There, in the center of the photo, stood a man with weathered features and piercing eyes. His arm was draped over James's shoulder, and he wore a faint smile. Though older, his face bore an unmistakable resemblance to someone Claire thought she'd never see again. The scar above his lip confirmed it. It was Liam. "Who is this?" Claire asked, her voice trembling as she pointed to the photograph. "That's Liam," James replied, smiling. "He was our guide in Alaska, a kind-hearted man who knows the wilderness better than anyone I've ever met." Claire's hands shook as she clutched the photo. She explained how Liam had disappeared during a storm when they were children, presumed drowned. Ella and James listened, their expressions shifting from curiosity to concern. That night, Claire could barely sleep. Memories of Liam flooded her mind. His laughter, his protective nature, the way he had always looked out for her. The possibility that he was alive after all these years ignited a spark of determination in her heart. She decided she had to find him. Traveling was uncharted territory for Claire. She had never left Harborville, let alone boarded a plane. The thought of flying to Alaska filled her with a mix of fear and excitement. With Ella and James's encouragement, she booked a flight. The morning of her departure, as she stood at the airport, her heart raced. The plane loomed large and intimidating, but as it ascended into the sky, a sense of exhilaration washed over her. For the first time, she was leaving the comfort of her small town, chasing something bigger than herself. In Alaska, Claire began her search. The vast wilderness was both awe-inspiring and overwhelming. Each day, she followed leads from locals who spoke of a man fitting Liam's description, a guide who worked near Denali National Park. Weeks passed, and just as her hope began to waver, she found him. At a remote ranger station, nestled beneath the towering peaks, Claire saw him. Liam was standing by a cabin, speaking to a group of hikers. His hair was streaked with gray, and his face bore the marks of time, but it was undeniably him. Claire froze, her heart pounding. "Liam," she called out, her voice breaking. He turned, his eyes widening in disbelief. "Claire?" he whispered. Tears streamed down her face as she ran to him. They embraced, and for a moment, the world seemed to stand still. The years of separation melted away as they clung to each other, their sobs mingling with the crisp mountain air. Later, as they sat by a campfire, Liam shared his story. After the storm had swept him away, he had been rescued by fishermen. Disoriented and injured, he had lost his memory for a time. By the time it returned, he was too afraid to reach out, convinced that his family had moved on without him. Instead, he had built a new life in Alaska, finding solace in the wilderness. Claire listened intently, tears streaming down her face. "You were never forgotten, Liam," she said, gripping his hands. "We never stopped hoping you'd come back." Liam's shoulders shook as he wept. It was a moment of healing, but it's a release of years of pain and regret. In the days that followed, Claire and Liam reconnected. He showed her the beauty of his Alaskan home, glaciers that sparkled like diamonds, forests that whispered ancient secrets, and rivers that carried the stories of the land. They hiked trails, visited remote villages, and sat under the stars sharing stories of their lives apart. But Claire knew their journey wasn't complete. "You need to come home," she said one evening. "Mom and Dad deserve to see you. They need to know you're alive." Liam hesitated, his eyes filled with uncertainty. "What if they're angry? What if they don't forgive me for staying away?" he asked. Claire shook her head. "They love you, Liam. They've always loved you. Come home, and let's heal together." Eventually, Liam nodded. "You're right," he said softly. "It's time." The flight back to Harborville was filled with anticipation. As the plane descended, the familiar sight of the lighthouse came into view, its lights sweeping across the horizon. At the airport, their parents were waiting. When Liam stepped forward, their mother gasped, her hands flying to her mouth. Tears streamed down her face as she ran to embrace her son. "You came back," she whispered, holding him tightly. "I'm sorry it took so long," Liam replied, his voice thick with emotion. The reunion was everything Claire had hoped for. The family spent hours talking, laughing, and catching up on lost time. Liam shared stories of his life in Alaska, and their parents shared memories of the years spent waiting for his return. The pain of the past began to heal, replaced by a sense of wholeness and gratitude. Personal reflections and call to action. This story is a testament to the resilience of family bonds and the power of hope. Claire's courage to step outside her comfort zone, and Liam's willingness to confront his past remind us that it's never too late for reconciliation and healing. Sometimes, the paths we take in life may lead us far from home, but love has a way of guiding us back. If this story moved you, please subscribe to our channel, Life Stories 365. Every week we share real, inspiring tales that celebrate the beauty of human connection and resilience. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video to spread the message of hope and healing. Be sure to check out our other videos for more stories that will touch your heart and remind you of the incredible power of love and perseverance. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.